So what's the process for creating data sets and using them in your reports? How easy is it? So it's actually pretty straightforward and really mimics the kind of flow of creating custom reports in HubSpot. So the first step you'll take when creating a data set is joining your data together. So this is where you'll select your primary and secondary data sources to use in the data set. From there, you'll prepare your data, and this is where you begin to hone in on those properties that you want to include, filter out the ones you don't need, create any new formula fields to make calculations on your data at the reporting level. You can also recontextualize, property names, things like that, and tailor your data set to your end reporting goal. Then step 3, you'll review your data set. And this is really just confirming how your data set has been configured, and you'll save it for future use in reporting. And then the final step is to build a report using the data set you just created. So next, we'll jump right into the demo, and we'll kind of go through that process of creating a data set. To start, I really like to think of a question that I'm trying to answer with the report in order to kind of guide what sources I'll need in the data set and what data I need to prepare. So for this demo, I'm going to use the example question, what is the average customer lifecycle lead time? So specifically, I want to know what is the average time it takes contacts to go from leads to customers? So with that goal in mind, I'm going to switch screens and we're going to jump into the demo. And I'll come back here so we can. All right. And I hope folks can see my screen okay.
Yep, we can see it, Tom. You're good.
All right, great. And if I need to zoom in or zoom out, just let me know. I can do that as we go through here. So I'm going to kind of take a step back here and just kind of start from basics. So from your HubSpot portal to get to the datasets tool, we will come to reporting, and under data management, we'll click on the datasets link. That'll bring you to your datasets library. This is where you'll kind of create and update any of your existing datasets. We'll start by clicking create dataset to create a new one. You can also look at some of these templates that are available as well. But for this demo, we're going to go ahead and start from scratch here. So this is where you're brought to the second step, which is joining your data. So this is where you're going to select your primary data source and your secondary data sources as well. You can see you can join in, events, all of your objects, custom objects as well, custom events, things like that. So if you're familiar with the custom report builder in HubSpot, this is going to look almost identical. The one thing we do see here is we have this preview tab. So as we're kind of joining our data together, we have our contact selected as our primary source right now. But if we join in data, we can see that joining happening at the on the table right in the preview pane here. So for this demo, we're going through just a really simple use case here, but just going to show some of the kind of the flexibility in data sets with a simple use case. So we'll go ahead and hit next. We can add suggested properties. So this will just give you a list of some of the common properties: name, email, etc. for contacts as the data source. You know, and some of the other common properties for other objects as well. We're going to just start from scratch here. So we're brought into the prepare page here, and this is where we're going to start to select the properties that we want to include in our data set. So for this example, we want to let's pull in some relevant information first. So we'll just bring in first name. What's really nice, this is a small thing, but it's something that I really like about data sets, is you can just click the plus button here to add it to the data set. Whereas custom reports, you got to click and drag. Now you can click and drag as well, but I just really like this kind of feature enhancement that kind of improves the usability here. So we can go ahead and add first name. Let's also add last name just for some more contextual information here. And we'll add that. The next property we're going to look at is the date entered lead lifecycle stage. So we'll add this to our data set. And we'll also add the date entered customer. We see all of our data populating in our preview table here, which is really nice, gives you a view. And I can tell already I've got a lot of null values. This is our test portal. So apologies for some of the limited data in this demo. But what we can do is we can filter this right away in this data set, which will then translate to the report as well. But we can go ahead and filter all the records we want to see that have date entered, the customer or lead lifecycle stage populated. So if we come back to our prepare, we'll see that list of contacts get filtered down. So from here, we want to calculate the time between the date entered the lead stage and the date entered customer stage. So this is really where the power of data sets comes into play, because we have the ability to create formula fields here. So we've got two different options. We have the ability to create a formula field kind of free form, where we can insert functions, HubSpot properties, which are any property that we have available to us. We can also choose from just the properties we've included in our data set. So we've got these filtered here to select from, snippets as well. And then we also have a really cool feature, which is kind of using AI to help build out different conditional logic and functions that you might want to apply. We also have this other option, which is conditional formula field. So this is a little bit more tailored towards a kind of user-friendly interface where we can go through these conditional blocks and build things out. We can add additional conditional blocks and things like that. But for this, I'm just going to start with the freeform formula builder here, and we'll call this days from lead to customer. And what we want to do is we want to apply a function, and the function we're going to apply is the date diff function. So that's going to take the difference between two dates and output a numerical value. So we can click on the functions tab, search for date diff, and add it this way, and this gives us the skeleton of this function. Alternatively, we could type in date diff, and that would bring up some options of properties, functions that you have available to you, and start off this way. Another really nice thing is brings up some examples of how to use the function in this right pane here, and kind of shows you the parameters of this function. So what you need to provide the function to make the calculation. So this we're going to apply day, because we want to know the number of days between these two dates. And then from here, we can come and select from our data set field. We'll select the date entered lead as the second argument, and then we'll select the date entered customer as the third argument. This will bring up the calculation that you just made into your table. So you can see we have a new field here derived from fields that we had already added to this table. and see the length of time that it takes in days from customers to go from leads to customers. You can go ahead and click save. So now we have this new formula field that we just added to our table. And what if we wanted to continue on and kind of take this a step further? What we can do is we can let's say we want to kind of bucket these lengths into three different buckets, right? So we want to kind of bucket it into short, medium, and long. And that way we can kind of gain insight on these buckets of records that are kind of taking a long time to go from lead to customer. We can kind of drill down into those records and see why, or look at kind of, an average time, or kind of look at leads that are kind of, converting to customers really quickly. So to do that, I'm going to create another formula field here. And I think I want to kind of play with this HubSpot AI feature here. So I'm going to just kind of type in kind of what I want this conditional logic and what the end kind of output I want it to be. So I'm going to just say if, and actually, let me see, because I'm going to be referring to this, I'm going to just grab this field here. So I want to know a few things about this field. So I'm going to say if the days from lead to customer is less than, let's say, 15, I want to output short. If the days from lead to customer is greater than 15 or less than, let's say, 25, I want to output medium. Not the best speller. And then finally, if the days from lead to customer is greater than 25, I'm going to output long. And we'll see how this goes. We'll click generate and see how it does. All right. Yeah, did all right. I don't think.
I mean, that is pretty darn cool how, Tom, you're able to go through.
Yeah,
I mean,
very cool.
except for couldn't pick up the negative one in there, but I bet if you simply explain the negative 48,
Yeah,
it could probably pick that up. But I mean, that's pretty darn cool what you can do with AI and data sets.
yeah, that's
So
really
it's a matter of
cool.
kind of playing around with it a little bit as one of the recommendations that you would have for people as they're playing around with these different data sets.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might have to adjust things here and there. Um, so yeah, definitely play around with it, make adjustments. If it's bringing in,
And then
looks like this is bringing in other fields that I didn't specify in there. Um, so that's one way. But it's really cool to be able to kind of give it a prompt and see how it interprets that and kind of what you get.
versus just making
Um,
it yourself to be able to do. I
Yeah,
agree.
exactly. But instead of doing that, I want to kind of show really quickly the conditional formula field builder. So let's go ahead and we can go through that same example here, and we can say if the days from lead to customer is less than 15, um, then we want to output short. We'll give it a default of just say null for now. So if the days from lead to customer is less than 15, output short. If if the days from lead to customer is greater than, greater than 15 and less than 25. Oops, and we have to specify what property is less than 25. Then output medium. And then we can actually, yeah, we'll go through the whole, um, else if data is greater than 25, we're going to output long. We can see this preview even
So
before
it's interesting
we
that one
save it.
that one was correct on the -48 for short
Mm,
versus what AI
yeah,
pulled together.
yeah, yeah. So you can see, those are a couple different ways, but it's really cool to play around with the AI functionality. But there are a couple different ways you can go about, kind of getting to your end goal here. So I'm going to go ahead now and click save. So what we've just done here, and actually I'm going to just name this to, length bucket, and go ahead and click save. So now we've, derived another calculated field from a previously derived field. So this is where we really get into this data analysis that can be really helpful. This is one example, right? But you can imagine there's a bunch of different possibilities. This is a rather basic kind of date diff, example, but there are a bunch of different possibilities. And,
Tom,
um,
when it comes to these type of possibilities, essentially what we're able to do is, unlike traditional calculated properties or fields, now we can actually do calculate properties of fields on top of calculated properties and fields on top of properties and fields to
yeah,
really start bucketing what you need. Hence why we refer to this as a precursor to really good business intelligence.
exactly. And let's say, for instance, we want to take this even further, right? So let's say if something is, in the long bucket, um, let's say, if, and we'll go ahead and just, select our length bucket. So if length bucket equals, let's say, long, we could do, let's say we want to pull in, some visual aspects. We could pull in, um, let's say we want to pull in an emoji here, right? So if it's long, let's say, we want to inspect that, right? So we're going to pull in this emoji, this little inspect emoji, to get a little silly with it, right? um, we can just specify a null really quickly. We'll add another conditional block that says, if our length bucket equals medium, you can go ahead and let's uh, let's just put a neutral, and then if our bucket is in the short category, and let's get excited, right? Now we can see we're derived fields, right? So this is where it really comes into play, where we're making calculations on calculated fields, and we're able to kind of further gain, different levels of analysis and insight on our data. That's just not possible with, standard reporting right now. I will say there is a public beta right now to be able to add formula fields to, custom reports. So, um, there is the ability, within a custom report to create a formula field here. Um, and we have similar functionality where we have a list of functions. This is in public beta right now. Um, but what that is, if you do not have access to data sets, in Operations Hub Enterprise, you can add one formula field per custom report, right? So you do have a little bit of that capability, but, from there, without a, enterprise level, without data sets, you wouldn't be able to then create another calculation field off that previously calculated field. and so on and so forth. So um, there is a little bit of functionality here on the way, but as you can see with data sets, we're able to. I think the limit is 20 derived fields, right? So we can have a total of 60 columns on a data set. 20 of those can be these calculation fields, which is super powerful. Um, so I'm going to save this here. So we see this kind of this power here with data sets. So we've prepared our data set. We have some insights that we're able to provide to the reporting level now. I'm going to just go ahead and name this. I'll name it days from lead customer. Oops. Data set. And we'll go ahead and click save. So we can save and build a report right here, or we can save, it'll take us back to our datasets library. I'm going to go ahead and click save and build report. And this is where we start to see we've got this limited number of properties because this report is directly pulling from the data set as its source. We're not inundated with all of the properties that are available on our object records. Um, we have this limited view of the actual data that we need for the specific reports we want to create. So if we wanted to just go ahead and answer our question um, right away, days from lead to customer, we could pull this in and we could apply an aggregate average function. And right now we can quickly see a quick snapshot. The average days from lead to customer is about 37 days. If we wanted to kind of provide some more context and split it out by those buckets, we could also pull in the length bucket here. So we can group it by the length bucket, right? So the average, you know, number of days that it takes for contacts to go from lead to customer in the long bucket is 115, medium is 21, short negative 5.5. That negative, I think, is throwing it off a little bit still. But we can start to see that, it brings in the power to the reporting level.
Yeah,
If
it's
we wanted to get,
pretty powerful that we're able to actually do that type of
yeah,
reporting off of the data sets to that point, because I know a lot of people want to be able to do similar type
yeah,
of reports.
exactly. And then if we want to kind of bring it into a pivot table to get a little bit more context as to, how we're splitting this out and grouping data, we can see this provides a little bit more visually aesthetic understanding of what we're reporting on here. If we wanted to drill into the records specifically here, we could click. Now we see all of the records that are in this long bucket. Um, and of course, if we wanted to add more context, we could bring in additional fields. And this is just, uh, customizing the report so that we um, kind of bring in what we want to see on this report. If we wanted to bring in, I think this is the emoji kind of category. If we wanted to bring that in, um, we could bring that in as well, right? Um, so so it gives you a really powerful way to create these calculated fields at the reporting level and be able to spin up conditional logic, make super powerful calculations on your customer data that really gives you more powerful insights. Makes you a little bit, yeah, makes you more empowered to really kind of um,
This is pretty
derive those
awesome in
insights
terms
yourself.
of
Yeah.
how much you can do in a platform. I think most people, when they think of HubSpot, they have no idea this is even capable of a
Yeah.
system like HubSpot. And it really just opens up the possibilities from reporting for your sales, your marketing, your service team. So, Tom, really thank you for sharing this.